Welcome to My Safe Word is More with your hosts from Survivor and Amazing Race, Corinne Kaplan, stand-up comedian and television host Al Jackson. I'm Chris, your producer. This is My Safe Word is More.
Hey!
Now, I know last time we recorded, we told you all it would be the last time in our studio.
Right.
And we did not recreate the exact same studio in 24 hours. We are still, this is one last episode we're squeezing out in the good studio.
Al is taking forever to move. But I'm doing it by myself. I'm like
thrilled.
a single black mom.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yes, of course it is. Nobody likes moving. But today, for our last episode in the studio, I'm going to do something I don't ordinarily do. I'm going to talk about Survivor 50.
Oh.
So, for all of you listening who give a shit about that stupid fucking show, I'm going to tell you what I know. And there's a reason that I'm talking about it, because you can all thank Trevor, one of my very long-standing patrons, who sent me something that was so undeniably hysterical, I could not cover it.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
All
And then
right.
we're also going to touch on something that I wasn't necessarily going to talk about, but I decided, like, well, who fucking cares? I didn't sign an NDA. I was up for House of Villains, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that process and, like, why I wanted to do that and what happened. And then
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
I am.
And then we are going to segue into, Al's going to tell us a little bit about life on the road. He's been back on the road, and
Yes. Seeing America.
yeah, I am, like, obsessed, with anything to do with stand-up, and I just want to hear, what that's like. It's my, like, alternate universe.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we're going to get to some listener Gmails and more of my random thoughts. That segment seemed to do well, so we're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
But I would like to say at the start of the show, before we get into all of this, that I am now in chapter 47 of Mark Hoppus's book, and it's never ending.
Finish it.
I am
You've
definitely
come
going to
this
finish
far.
it. But I want to say it has
Remind us who that even is.
Sorry. The lead singer of Blink-182, one of the lead singers, wrote a book called Fahrenheit 182. And it has so many fucking chapters that I'm on chapter 47, and there's still an hour left of this audiobook.
Oh my.
Not even close to the end.
Wait, when do you listen to it?
Every single time I'm in the car.
Okay.
I've just, if I'm in the shower, anytime I can listen, I'm trying to get through this book. It's as though I have to take a test on it. And it has gotten better because he's actually gotten into the Mark and Tom dispute, which was mildly interesting. It took 47 chapters, but we're at the interesting part now. Anyways, okay. So let's get into Survivor 50 for a little bit. For those of you listening that don't watch Survivor, that's totally fine.
Shame on you.
This fucking show has been on the air for 117 years, and Survivor 50 has long been hailed as they're going to have a returning player season, which they have not done in a long time. I myself was on a returning player season in Fans versus Favorites. As a person that doesn't watch the show, I prefer actually my exact type of season where you've got some new players and some old players, just because I think it's interesting and you kind of catch those people that have a fan base. So you've got a reason to watch, but you also kind of get inducted into, you meet the...
You think it's all bad if it's all newbies?
I think it's all bad if it's all newbies. I think it's all bad if it's all returning. And I'm just slightly interested in the half-seas,
Okay.
right? And they've done that twice. Fans versus Favorites has happened twice. Anyways, for 50, because, this fucking PR train won't stop, they're trying to make a real big deal out of this. Now, it would have been interesting to me if they did like 100 players and the prize is fucking 10 million or something different. No. I think these fuckwads are just doing 20 players, nothing special, and you can't pick 20 interesting people. It's too small of a number, right? Like 20 out of 50 seasons with anywhere between 16 and 20 each season. There's tons and tons of people. So how do you decide who gets to go? And you don't want to see Boston Rob for the umpteenth time,
Wait,
right?
roughly how many people do you guesstimate have been on Survivor? What would you guess?
600,
Oh,
700,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, to be a standout character and for people to want to see you play again. The other thing that I think people often forget is we age. And people age out of being able to do Survivor. So stop fucking gunning for, like, wanting these players that are way too old to perform. There's just no, like, I'm sorry.
Rudy's not even alive anymore.
What?
Rudy's not even
Yeah,
alive anymore.
But, like,
He died of natural causes,
yes,
correct?
he
Wow.
did. I mean, it's like, even people who you thought were tremendous when they played 20 fucking years ago. And this is a point I made on the House of Villains interview. And so I think that
I feel like it just turned into more of a mean production meeting that you were running. You were like, what are you guys, who are you booking?
Well, so anyways, I know one of the people that I've heard is being considered. I know nothing, you guys. I am not. I know who got asked and said no. You want to know who asked and got said no? Who got asked and said no?
Yeah.
Franny. My friend Franny, who was voted off twice first, got the call last August. So I'm aware, obviously, I'm in the community. I know of certain people that got called. I know by the people that were calling me that they were called and trying to align thinking that I got the call. I did not get the call. I am not like, we'll just leave him nameless. Certain people that pretended they got called. I didn't get called. I'm not pretending I did.
Some people pretended they
They fucking, oh my God.
How do you pretend you get called?
You go on Twitter and you're like, well, I got the call, but I'm really upset. I'm not going to be on. You know, I know a bunch of people.
If you got the call, would you have done it?
No.
Really?
I would not, for sure. And Franny said no because she's a respectable person. I would have said no for entirely different reasons.
Not because you're respectable?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any dignity. For me, a lot of TV nowadays, and I've seen what Survivor has done to people. I'm very cautious about like where I would place my trust. My trust has to be in the producers and in the casting. And for me, Lynn Spillman, who was the head of casting forever and ever, that no longer does that, who's the reason I did Survivor twice and The Amazing Race, she's no longer there. I don't have the kind of relationship where I would really trust that they wouldn't do something really gnarly to me and like destroy my career, my reputation. You know, I think you often, when you go on these shows, you think to yourself, well, I'm not a homophobe. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not racist. What could happen? And then some shit goes down and they make you look like such an asshole.
I don't think people understand how much control producers have in terms of how they make you look. They can cut things and make it seem like...
But yes, but often what Survivor does that's very gnarly, that's different maybe than what people think reality TV does is whatever I say on the show, I said on the show, right? Like you can't put words in my mouth. And yeah, maybe they cut things a little bit. They could cut a reaction shot. That's not what they do. They go in and they get in your brain during the confessionals, right? When they're alone with you. Then they get into somebody else's brain in those confessionals and they kind of orchestrate things that can be really detrimental to your mental health if you don't know what's happening.
They're like a mean girl in high school.
It's very, very strategic, I think. And I felt like myself, I've done it twice. So I'm already an all-star. Like I'm never going to win. So I was really focused on doing something else. But the reason I'm bringing this up today is because, again, Trevor gets all the credit for this. He alerted me that, and he's not the only one. Actually, Cam came to visit and we went hiking. We had a great day together. And he was asking me all these questions he was giving me like info of who was being called and whether, they think that the rumor is that it's going to be like the best to never win. So that cuts out all the winners, like Sandra, Parvati, Boston, all the people you're real tired of hearing about. But it leaves it open for, somebody who really made it far that could have won that didn't. I'm not that person. So if that's really the theme, there's nobody sitting there at home going, man, Corinne could have had it all.
What would you say the title of, if there is a best to never win, what would be the title that you would fit best under?
Meanest, meanest players. I don't know, like the
players you should hate, but you shouldn't.
Yeah,
but you don't.
The players
meanest jury speech.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of my confessionals. I don't know if the word mean is even accurate. No. It's really just like it's hard to break me. It's more likely you'll be broken. That's why I never worried about being kidnapped.
That's what Ivan Drago said in Rocky IV.
Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe like the Unbreakable cast. I don't know. Put me up against people that don't cry, that are, get rid of all the pussies. So there's a no pussy season. How about that?
All right.
Okay. So anyways.
Again, that should be shouted in your sorority dorm room.
Yes.
Ladies, this is a no pussy season. All right. We already got rid of 4 of you little pussies. There's 6 left. Who wants to go?
Okay. Yeah. So this is why I'm talking about it today. Okay. So Trevor puts it on my my Facebook page for patrons. And he said, he's like, just so you know, there's a lot of chatter that you're on this season. And I'm like, okay. And actually, like a couple people had reached out and been like, oh, because like you follow Colby and he's supposed to be on it and this one and that one. Like there's stupid fucking nonsense. You guys are idiots. I mean, when I watch the red tape that they're putting together, you know, like
I think it's red string.
String, yeah.
Yes. Right.
You know, I'm like, this is so dumb. You guys have, I mean, it's cute. I'm sure it's fun to guess. You just have no idea what you're doing. Anyways, this person, okay, now there's a thread going and they think it's possible. Sometimes Survivor sometimes they'll do like a tribe with different racial integration. I'm not really good at this.
Something I'm against.
Yeah. So they had like, I think it was Parvati's first season or something, where they had like a black tribe, an Asian tribe, a white tribe, and a Hispanic tribe. Yeah,
Really?
they did.
Get out of here.
Yes, they did.
I don't remember.
Was this Survivor 1963?
No, it was like I remember. I want to say like Earl won that
Survivor
season.
South Africa?
Yes.
It was Yule or Earl, the Asian or the black that I know that won. I don't remember. Anyways, okay, so I guess the other thing that Survivor had committed to doing was putting a certain amount of persons of color on each season. I'm probably fucking this up because I really have not listened or been paying attention for a very long time. Here's why this is relevant.
Okay. Were they
There
affected by Trump's DEI rollbacks?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a thread where they're naming the persons of color that will be potentially on the season. So Suri, she's black. Ozzy, he's Hispanic. Ty, he's Asian. Corinne. So I have been listening.
What are you?
That's a great question.
She could be a lot of things.
I said to Trevor, I go, if they list me as black, I will 100% do that. I am the Rachel Dolezal of this fucking franchise,
Yes.
and we all know it. And I will definitely come back if you let me be black on the show.
And then you get into a Rachel Dolezal beef. That's going to boost our numbers up.
I like this plan.
Yeah.
So then somebody writes in, I've only ever heard Stephanie is Italian. Corinne is Asian.
Yes.
What are you guys doing right now?
But why aren't you Italian? I could see that. Totally.
I think she was saying that Stephanie doesn't count because she's Italian, but Corinne does because she's Asian.
Right.
I know, but like Asian.
Asian.
I could see her being, Chris, what could you see, Corinne? I could see her being Greek. I could see her
Yeah,
being.
but these aren't
Italian.
minority groups. Greek's not a minority group. Neither is Italian or
I gotta
Irish
be
or anything.
Hispanic,
You got to be Hispanic,
Asian, or black.
Asian or black. Right.
Oh, I thought you could be a minority.
I mean, there's a Jewish thing, but that's not really.
That's religion.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, I just, if anyone is listening from CBS, I will do your show if I am black. Okay?
Yes,
I'm black.
No, because you are black.
Yes.
Not
I
And
demand
you're
to do your
Asian,
show
too.
as a black woman. Yeah.
You're both.
I hope that it comes out in the wash that she took the last spot from a black woman that was deserving.
Yeah.
And then we'll get some hate, but that's going to boost our numbers. Everything's going to go right back underneath.
I texted Stevie Goodtimes and I was like, I sent him the post and then I was like, just so you know, you're dating a Blasian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, I'm just going to touch on House of Villains for a little bit, and then we're going to get into Al's story.
All right,
So.
can you say power to the people before we go? that was the worst black-white power
Yeah,
fist.
that
She just held her fist up like she was grabbing the rail strap on the subway.
I don't know how you do
Like,
it.
okay, that's good
Double
that you
fists.
don't. There we go. No.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so the story behind House of Villains is this. Obviously, I accosted a year ago Joel McHale at the Brady Roast, and I was like, you have to put me on. It's bullshit that I haven't been on. I knew I was on their radar because Fairplay did me the solid of, I didn't tell him to do this, but he gave every interview, every time they've ever asked him, he's like, you got to get Corinne. He was very behind me, and I thank him, like, I've thanked him personally over and over for doing that. That was very cool of him. But also, I fucking deserve to be on that show. So I was just like, okay, so actually, the Yay Network that we're on, they had suggested, they knew somebody internally, and I should cut a reel. I love you guys, but I was like, no. I'm famous. I don't need to fucking make a reel. Now,
You do.
What I hadn't considered is that,
You need to get someone to make a reel for you.
Yes.
well, I just was like, I don't want to do that. You can ask me. Every show I've ever done, somebody came and asked me. I'm the only person, like, not the only person, but I was recruited to do Survivor twice and then Amazing Race. I can be recruited for this show on E! So I decided not to do anything about this reel situation, but now I know they're getting close to casting, and I'm like, fuck. I talked to Erica. She's like, it's like $500 to cut a reel. I'm like, I just don't have the time
Do
to
you
sit
understand who you're sitting next to? Look at my face.
there. Yeah.
I cut clips while I'm driving without looking at my phone. That's how often I could make you a reel in 10
the
seconds.
The problem is what I would do is use this guy who did like a 1 hour thing on me for YouTube. He compiled all my confessionals. Like I'd start there at least because what are we going to watch?
There's a lot of material.
32 hours of Survivor and, you know, I can't do that. So anyways, I was very...
You have diehard fans that know the spots. They wouldn't have to look. They'd be like, when you told Janelle to go F herself, when your speech here, when you fell getting out of the canoe, so, they already know you don't have to like watch the shows again.
Here's the problem. What happens is the network who's deciding, they're picking 10 people, each one from a different show, from Vanderpump, from The Bachelor, from Love is Blind, Survivor, whatever. So they are not going to know who you are, no matter how well you know you're known as a villain. They need something to go off of. I didn't understand that because I'm an idiot. Anyways, this is what happened. I get a really strange, I get an email, a direct message on Instagram from a girl I went to sleepaway camp with when I was 10.
Is that code for something?
Nope. She messages me. I don't see the message. She happens to be best friends with the executive producer of House of Villains and was like, this is really crazy, but he's been trying to reach you. Is it okay? Can I share your contact information? She can't get a hold of me, so she defers to my other friend.
Corinne proceeded to disclose top secret names.
Out in Seattle, messages me, texts me, and is like, Jamie is trying to get a hold of you. Would you do House of Villains? And can we give your information to the EP? I was like, oh my God, yes. And also, I was waiting for this call. I knew this was going to happen, right? So I was sitting high on my throne. I was like, that's right. That's right. You had to find me. So, all right. So they immediately messaged me at 10 o'clock at night. Can you get on a Zoom call tomorrow morning? We want to record you, and then we're going to send it to the network. So I'm like, sure. Well, now I kind of panic because I never saw the show. Despite how badly I want to be on it, never saw it. So I immediately, I get Stevie Goodtimes to give me his Peacock login because I don't have fucking Peacock. And I watch one episode. They're long episodes. They're like an hour. So I watch one episode and I go, all right, that's enough. I get the gist of it and I'll be able to speak to what I would do. So I get on this Zoom call and they make me, it's basically because they don't have a reel. It's my reel. They go, do you remember your jury speech? I was like, yeah, because I just did a cameo on it yesterday because I get paid to do it all the time because no one has forgotten it. And they were like, can you do it for us right now? I was like, sure can. I do my jury speech. Now, if I had a fucking reel, I wouldn't be reenacting the whole
over
reel.
Zoom while
they were
dressed
like,
in business attire?
Yes, they're like, what are you best known for? What style of play? Like, I'm hat and caning you guys. And I was like, I think what would be easier is if I just told you what I would do if I was on the show. I watched one episode. I'll watch all of them before I do it. But like, here's what I saw. So they want people who are villains, but there is also a space for people who are villains trying to redeem themselves. I hate that. I hate it. So I saw on there was this guy, Jax, from Vanderpump, and he's hot. And he was on there, and he's doing this whole, I cheated, but the woman I cheated on, she's my wife, and we have a child, and I'm a different guy. And so I opened my interview with, what's the prize money? It was $200,000? Keep it $200,000. The entire game is now, how do I get him to cheat on his wife? Thou doth protest too much,
that's
sir.
Good.
I know. And it turned out they got divorced in October 2024. It turned out he did cheat. So it would have been possible. And how much more fun would that? Who cares what's happening in the game? I'm going to make this guy cheat on his wife on camera. So, yeah. So all of my strategy, like I was like, there was another Corinne, the one from The Bachelor, on this one.
Oh, yeah.
She cries out of 4 minutes into this fucking show. And I was like, that crybaby? All I'm going to do is try and make her cry more. I'm going to pull all the strings. I'm going to make this the most miserable experience of her life. And then there was Omarosa, who everyone was so fearful of. And I was like, yes, I agree. She's excellent TV. She's also, really bright. Here's the problem. She's too famous. She's going to get all the camera time. I don't give a fuck about anything else except camera time. So she has to go first. And I'm going to make a case to these fuckwads that have no idea what they're doing game-wise. The Love is Blind guy, these Vanderpump, like people who don't really play strategic. They're just on TV, on like dating shows. They're such low-hanging fruit. So anyways, I give my whole pitch. I thought it was flawless. They, in the end, did not end up going with me. I don't know who they went with. But the other thing that I had gotten in my head, may or may not be true, don't know, is that, one of the villains that I'm often compared to is Jerry. I don't really get it. I mean, we look sort of similar. So what I tried to do in my interview, I was like, in my head, I'm like, I bet they're looking at Jerry because they went with Richard Hatch and Fair Play. Those are two big names. Female villains are harder to come by. She's way more famous than me just because she was on an earlier season, right? Is what it is. Yeah. I was like, some people claim to be villains, but they're living on a ranch on some winery in upstate California and making necklaces out of spoons. I don't know that they're still engaging in villainy, okay? And if you take somebody out of the freezer who's been in one for 15 years, you don't know what you're going to get. That's what happened with Hatch. No offense, I love Hatch. But like, I am on a podcast. I do, like, my whole life is one-liners.
You're like, I'm still currently mean.
I was like, yes. I'm bullying people online right now.
Right.
So I tried to make a really good case for myself. They sent me a super sweet email back after they made their decision. And they were like, we got the green light from the network. We will call you again. Hang tight. Like, this just didn't work. It's like a puzzle piece, whatever. Who knows? Maybe they didn't need a female. I don't know. I just want to say that, like, I do really want to do House of Villains, Survivor, not unless I'm going to be your Nubian queen, okay?
There we go. And in a weird way, because I went back and forth as I was listening to you talk, I was like, well, she made it really difficult for them to even find her, to talk to her. Once they did talk to you, you didn't have any of the materials they asked for. But in a weird way, it makes you memorable. And for casting people that see 1 billion faces a day, I do think they'll circle back.
I think so too. I'm pretty confident that, like, unfortunately, I think that show only films once a year.
I think they meant the network greenlit you as a player
for
the future.
Yeah, that's what yeah. And the reason Chris is saying this, because I read the email because they were like, good news. The network greenlit you. We've gone in a different direction. I go, who's this good news for? And so he interpreted it. He's like, well, it's good news because it means, like, you're officially past that point now.
Now you just have to fit in the right season and the right puzzle if it goes long enough. And
so
we'll see.
You guys keep being my online warriors. Keep. As soon as this season comes out, why is Corinne not on this?
And just somebody send her a bullet points of her highlight moments so we can locate those. She thinks she has to watch every hour of television.
Well, I'm just simply not going to do that. And I'm 500 is the absolute most I would pay for a reel. I just want to mention that I did ask them. I was like, has Joel McHale, like, oh yeah, he likes you. He told us you came up to him. I was like, see.
Yeah.
All right, Al, you've been on the road.
I have.
And
that's a hard transition.
Yeah, well, I mean, I promised you could tell your story, and I want to hear it.
Well, thank you. First of all, it's weird when you said, I'm very curious about the things that go on the road. Before I even get to my story, you like unlocked the memory of something else that happened. My first weekend of touring, I was in Kansas City, and I get off stage. It's the Saturday late show. So it's the last show of the weekend, did 5 shows. And I get off and I'm in the green room waiting to get paid. And the Kansas City Funny Bone runs a top notch.
Oh, that's good.
Or I mean, they run it like a ship. Like it's just everything is together. And so I get off stage and I get a knock at the green room door, and it's 2 guys that, kind of they're bouncers, door guys, food runners, like jacks of all trade kind of thing. And they just go, hey, really quickly, did you notice anything about 40 minutes into your set for the late show? And I go, no. And they go, yes. And they high-fived each other. And I was like, what happened? And they were like, we kept checking back on this table because they were talking. And when we went back at about the 40-minute mark, because it was a mother, a father, a daughter, and her husband, she said the dad is face down on the table.
Oh, dear.
Face down. And so they're like, is he having a heart attack or whatever? And I guess he took some medication and then drank on it. So one of the guys, this is while I'm on stage.
This is a pussy. This is somebody I would not play Survivor with, okay?
You
can take medicine and drink.
Yeah, well, this guy could not.
Yeah,
Because I said, well, what happened? They said he's passed out, so they don't know if they need to roll him on his stomach. They don't know what's going on with this guy. He's out in the middle of the show. This is pitch black. So the one guy, the younger guy, he comes up and he said he grabs the guy and fireman puts him on the shoulders the way like you would do if your buddy was in Nam and you had to get him out, over your shoulders. And he said, as he's getting him out of the showroom, the guy peed on him. Said he got him out of the showroom. The daughter throws up in the passenger door. He gets the dad in. He comes to, and he said the daughter just, like, this is what kind of dad she is. The daughter just looks and goes, thanks, Dad, and closed the door. And that was
damn.
And you didn't know any of this happened.
No, and I was like, it made me very happy that they were they have so much pride in their work. They were like, we're not going to disturb the show because a 270-pound man is like crash test dummy unconscious.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. So you just made me think about that, but my story and it kind of.
Wait. Now we have to go to break.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yes, we will.
But we can come back after and hear the remainder of your story.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? We are back, and I am in the process of recounting a harrowing tale, at least for myself. Corinne, before I get into this, I'm gonna ask you: do you watch or listen to anything before you go to sleep, like any weird YouTube things or any podcasts that make you sleepy, like somebody's voice or anything? Okay, I weirdly listen to recountings of tornado tragedies.
I love that.
That's what I
watch
do.
the Weather Channel for that regularly.
Yes, I watch. I go to sleep to that.
Yeah,
An
I can see
EF5
that.
tornado, I'm out like a light.
Mm.
And so I'm in Omaha, and it's before the show, and I run out, and I look at the sky, and I'm like, it's kind of tornado-y.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Al, you're being a puss. Get your stuff out of your car. I go back. As I'm going back to the showroom, a woman that works at a froyo place is on a landline phone. She comes out and she's talking to like her husband, and she goes, I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. And I'm like, what? You know, because I've been talking myself out of this. And so I get into the showroom. There are 400 people already sat in the Omaha Funny Bone. As soon as I open the door,
Is there
to go in
enough
the
room for all these people underground in the bunker?
Trust me, that question was asked because, I get to the green room, and as soon as I pull the handle, tornado alarms going off. Manager goes, we heard that the tornado is probably past us, but if need be, there's stairwells. And Frank Caliendo was like, is there a basement? She's like, no, but there's stairwells. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So that's my first tornado sitch. We obviously survived. The next one is a little bit more gangsta because it was on an off day that I had. So I did something only nerdy writers do. I went to this small town in Wisconsin, and I just went to a shitty hotel, and I was just going to write all day. And I was in there writing, and I mean, this is a shitbox hotel. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I should get my computer out of the car. And I go to get it, and I'm like, well, this is hail. I look up, the sky is just gray, like Game of Thrones gray. And I'm like, holy F. So I go back in the room, tornado alarm starts going off. And like, I'm in this shitball hotel that like, I know the roof was designed to be blown off in a tornado. So your boy looks across the street, sees a hospital, and
Hightails it, yeah.
Hightailed it to the hospital. I park my car. I go into the waiting room in the emergency room, and they are ushering the people in the emergency room.
So smart.
Yes, because I'm like, they got to have better walls in that hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And so I go in there.
Plus, if I get injured, I'm already here.
Yeah. In this,
What Wisconsin town? Just so I know.
I was in Eau Claire.
Oh,
yes.
excellent.
I was in Eau Claire.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know Wisconsin had tornadoes like that.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't
Sure. Not as much as like Kansas, but they have them now and again.
I thought it was too far north, but that must be my geography. But so I walk in, and like I didn't even sit in the waiting room. They were ushering us. So we're in this like protected area, and people that live in that town are on the phone. And this one lady was like, we're in the basement. It's going over us right now. Like the tornado touched down where we are. So I had to send SAR a text and a screenshot. And I was like, I'm in the emergency room. I am fine, but there's a tornado happening right now. And she's like, all right, what the fuck? And the reason I left is they started taking triage to see who needed to be taken care of. And I panicked and couldn't think of anything. And so they were getting to me. And when they got to me, I was just like, I'm not feeling well, but I have my exact diagnosis in the car. And I walked out and got right back in my car, went back to my hotel. But I was like, I went there for the tornado. Yeah. It hit, and I walked right out because I couldn't think of an ailment.
Jeez.
I like that's super smart.
Yeah.
I'll say this to anybody that is listening. I always listen to my gut. And I was like, I might be wrong. Probably not going to get hit with a tornado. But someone's telling me, move. And I just left. And it ended up really working out. So yes, listen to your gut, dog.
Well, I've been involved in several tornadoes. Just like Florida gets them, and then obviously you can listen to past episodes where I was caught at Dillard's Clearance in New Orleans, and my brother actually told me while the tornado was passing, he was like, The second it is past us, you run the fuck outside. I was like, why would we run outside? There's downed power lines. He goes, because the only thing worse than a tornado is the amount of looting that is about to happen. So we were in a bad motherfucking neighborhood in New Orleans because Dillard's clearances do not pop up in the good ones.
Now for the real storm.
Yeah, and he was, I'm not exaggerating. He grabbed my hand like the tornado touched down. We could see it was wreaking havoc in the parking lot, and then the rain settled out a little bit, and he dragged me out of the Dillard's clearance. Like we didn't buy anything, obviously. We didn't loot, but he was like, TikTok on the looting.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought it'd be fun to close out today with a listener email.
Yes.
And we are going to do, my buddy Cam, who was visiting, wrote in, and I thought we would cover his.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cam.
Okay. So, and I have a lot to say on this, which is why I wanted to cover it. He said, hello, swim coaches. Cam here, I need advice. Recently, a friend from college was coming into town to visit family and reached out to make lunch plans. I haven't seen her in 2 years, and I was so excited to catch up. Fast forward to the week of the lunch. She reaches out to confirm the plans and then informs me they've shifted a little. She now has invited her innermost friend group, who she always sees when she comes home, and let one of the girls pick the lunch location because it's also her birthday.
Okay.
I express I'm uncomfortable crashing a very intimate birthday with a close group of friends, and I'm told, no, it's totally okay, come. Despite my reservations, I go and get to the restaurant 15 minutes early. The place is insanely crowded, and when I text to say I've parked, they inform me they're running late. At this point, I'm already over something I was hesitant about to begin with. I end up bailing. I let my friend know, and I apologize profusely. Am I a bad friend? I shouldn't have backed out so close to the start time, admittedly, but I also wish if you made lunch plans with me, it stayed that way, and I just didn't become an accessory. I appreciate you making time for me, but maybe you're just too popular. I need to have better control of my social anxiety, but I'm past the point in my life of sitting through conversations and meals that I don't care about. Help, am I being too selfish? So I have so much to say on this. I am so fucking strict with this. Okay, first of all, never, ever would I don't make small talk. And I also am you can ask Eliza, for example, or any of my other friends that have been like, would you like to meet my boyfriend? No, I would not. I want to see you. If you invite a third person, just one person, the dynamic has now changed. Now when I tell you a story that you already know who I'm talking about, I got to stop and go, because Franny from Survivor also,
Right.
I can't. The dynamic is totally different. And I didn't sign up for that. And I'm kind of a cunt about it. And I just won't do it. And I definitely am not going to somebody else's birthday with a group of girls that know each other. I'm the odd man out. Ain't happening, dude. Ain't happening. Unless, I don't know, someone else is paying and it's at Ocean Prime. You'd have to make this such a sweet deal for me. And I'd have to be so drunk to withstand a bunch of fucking girls. No chance. And I'm going to go one step further. I also have a very strict rule. This is going to come off strict, but this is how I operate. If we're the three of us are going out for dinner and Chris he can't make it until we're going to be around dessert time.
Right.
I don't want you coming.
Yeah.
Because now we've already, we've told stories, things. I'm not catching you up. You either get there by the start of dinner or you don't come.
Right. They got to catch up on drinks. It just throws the dynamic
What about
off.
if I met you for the drinks after dinner? Like there was a second
I think
plan.
that's fine.
Then
That's okay.
Potentially. Yes. Or you could only come for the before part. So you're there for the stage setting,
Right.
but then you have to go.
Yeah.
But like showing up middle of dinner, no.
Yeah.
And I was also a very big, so when I lived in New York City, I was the friend who had all the connections. It really was. I was the person that knew every GM at every club. I had all the famous friends, and I had a gaggle of model friends that I intentionally kept around because in New York, you needed like 8 girls for every one guy. And it was, it made everyone happy. Richard never complained. And so I always had guy friends that would put their cards down and they're like, bring all the bitches. And I was like, got it. And I had this rule. I was like, we will be pre-gaming at this time. If you run late or you cannot make it to the pregame, that's it. I will not come out and get you when you get to the club. You will not get in the club. You cannot drop the name of the table because I will say, no, she's not with us. And many, many times, I have this one Polish friend, close friend, Claudia. She was always running late. She got cut from so many nights out because I was like, no, bitch. And these were late nights out. I'm not saying you had to get there. Like, I'd be like, you have to be at my house by 10:45 p.m. And like, I would get us all out. We'd be in a taxi. She'd get to my place at 11. I'm like, take your makeup off because you ain't going out tonight, bitch.
What if she said I was pre-gaming somewhere else, so I'm ready to go?
No, it's not. No. There's a dynamic. I'm laying the groundwork. We're all in the same mood. We've taken shots together. No,
Yeah. Well, speaking of groundwork, I think Cam's friend did that. I think Cam did the exact right thing because the groundwork she laid gave you one path, and that was to take your 2 feet like you did and get the F up with like a person with some self-respect and leave. They had a date to hang out to have a one-on-one dynamic. That then changed to a 2 or 3 or 4 person dynamic in which they did not know the other people. And one of those randos needs to have all the attention on them because it's their birthday, and that's how adults suddenly care about stuff like that. They wanted you, that was a test to see if Cam was going to play himself. Because if he had sat there, they were late. And if you had stayed just by them sitting, and they would have just known they got one. Oh, we got one on the hook. He clearly doesn't have anywhere to be. Anyway, Cam, can you hold this shirt? I got this for my friend.
I was just saying, my other concern is, what if everyone brought birthday presents?
Yeah.
This bitch's birthday. Like, oh my God. Do you know I don't go to bachelorette parties because I'm not celebrating someone else for an entire weekend? I'm just not doing it. There's no way I'm going to a stranger's birthday. No fucking way.
A stranger's birthday was put on him.
Yeah.
He didn't go to one. And so, like, I'm so glad the story didn't end with, like, and then so I sat there. That I am so proud because it's hard, because it is going to be an awkward, hey, I left. That is an awkward moment.
I don't
but
know.
you deal with that because they tried to play you and you didn't let them play you, and they respect you for that.
It's so much better than making your life awkward for the 2 hours that was going to go on for. Can I say something so random that just popped into my mind? I once, years ago, I was briefly dating Reggie Miller. He is a basketball player. He threw my birthday for me. We rented out this incredible space underneath what used to be, it's a restaurant, but it used to be an old bank. And one of my friends that was coming was like, is it cool if I bring Michelle Trachtenberg? And I was like, she wants to come to my birthday? It's a small, maybe I had 15 people at dinner and Reggie was paying for it. I was like, yeah. And Michelle Trachtenberg just came to my birthday party and like we kicked it and she was great. R.I.P. I didn't know her other than that. Yeah, she died.
Yeah.
But when she died, I was like, oh, she came to my birthday.
Yeah.
So she did the thing that none of us would have done, which is go to some stranger's birthday.
Yeah.
And an intimate, it wasn't like I rented a dance hall. It was a 15-person sit down, like cover to cover expensive dinner. Anyways, okay. Chris.
I had that sort of happen at my wedding. Jennifer Goodwin, she's a famous
I
actress.
love her.
I like her.
She was at my wedding. I didn't know her, but I knew her boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And he just brought her as the date, and there's Jennifer Goodwin at my wedding. And then a couple years later, I'm working at Entertainment Tonight, and I have to do a junket, and Jennifer Goodwin, and I'm like, hey, you were at my wedding. She's like, that's right.
That's cool. Yeah.
I agree with you on this whole thing, but when I was younger, I totally did not agree. I was like, stop overthinking it. Stop being like all rigid and shit. Just go with it. Why are you all so, you know what I mean? That was my argument. It was like, just go with the flow. It doesn't matter. You show up, whatever, people, it's a birthday. It doesn't matter. You have a good time. It's fine. Go with the flow. As I got older, no, I completely agree with you.
Right, because you realize the passive aggressive
on this, and now I would, Cam, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so proud. I'm so proud because she tried to play you and did the worst kind of trying to play you. The low key, like adding little things on. Oh, my friends are coming. Oh, can you sit in the back? Can you step outside the restaurant? We don't want to look at your face. Like these little steps to try and like shit on you, and you didn't let it happen. Oh, that made my day. I'm like fired up now. I want to go play some football. Well, that's why people listen to this podcast, because they learn about incredible swimmers like Cam. And one thing they don't realize is that this isn't just a podcast about life.
It's a podcast about Corinne Kaplan for House of Villains 2026.
That's right. Make it happen.